Stop. Before you scroll past this, I want you to think of your body as a biological fortress. Every night, you are supposed to be rebuilding its walls, strengthening its defenses, and repairing the damage from the day. But for millions, sleep has become a time of silent internal sabotage, and the walls are being weakened from the inside out, night after night. You do everything you're told. You watch what you eat. You try to stay active, but you still feel that deep, progressive fatigue that your doctor brushes off as just your age. You have a quiet fear that something isn't right, a sense that your body is getting older faster than it should be. The real cause of this is different from anything you've been taught to believe. After spending decades reviewing the scientific literature on aging and cardiovascular health, I've seen the same patterns emerge again and again. What the latest research consistently shows is that the most dangerous part of your day is the time you spend in bed. My mission in this video is to reveal the 5 critical habits that turn your sleep from a danger zone into a period of deep healing. And the number one cause, a specific sleeping position that millions of people use every night, is so dangerous because it combines silent reflux with respiratory distress in a way that can trigger a fatal arrhythmia, and you won't even feel it happening. This isn't another generic list of wellness tips. This is a complete protocol based on hard science that you can apply tonight. By the time this video is over, you will understand exactly how to reverse this process, reclaim your energy, and fundamentally change how your body ages. The science is clear on this, and it works regardless of your current age or condition. So we can see how this applies to where you are right now. Drop your age in the comments below. It's important to see that you are not on this journey alone. Now let's begin with the very foundation of this nightly sabotage. Item number 5 is where it all starts. We begin with the habit that lays the groundwork for this nightly crisis. Item number 5 is the pressure that never rests. This isn't about a rare supplement or a difficult exercise. It's about timing your last meal. This change is free, has zero risk, and can be implemented tonight. Think of your cardiovascular system as a factory that desperately needs a nightly maintenance shift to repair itself. Eating late forces the entire production line to run at full capacity, exactly when the repair crew is supposed to be starting their work. When you eat, your body diverts enormous resources, especially blood flow, to digestion. This keeps your insulin levels elevated. Insulin is like a master switch for your metabolism. When it's on, it signals your body to store energy, not repair damage. This process prevents the natural, vital 10 to 20% drop in blood pressure that should happen during deep sleep, a phenomenon scientists call nocturnal dipping. Your body is stuck in daytime mode, even when you're unconscious. This isn't a trivial matter. Research published in the European Heart Journal consistently shows that individuals whose blood pressure fails to dip at night, the non-dippers, have a dramatically higher risk of strokes and fatal heart attacks. By forcing your body to digest food while you sleep, you are essentially programming yourself to be a non-dipper. You are turning what should be a period of rest into a state of prolonged cardiovascular stress. Let's return to our factory metaphor. The expert maintenance crew arrives for the night shift, tools in hand, ready to fix the microscopic cracks in your arteries and recalibrate the delicate electrical rhythms of your heart. But they can't work. The production line is still roaring, the machinery is still hot, and the factory floor is a chaotic mess of digestive processes. The crew just stands by, unable to do their job. Night after night of this neglect has a cumulative effect. The machinery never gets serviced. The daily wear and tear isn't just left unfixed, it gets worse. This is how your arteries begin to stiffen. It's the origin story of that stubborn high blood pressure that doesn't seem to respond to medication. You are creating the very disease you are trying to manage, all because the maintenance shift never gets a chance to happen. The solution is profoundly simple. Create a hard and fast rule of a 3-hour window between your last bite of food and your head hitting the pillow. This isn't about starving yourself. It's about respecting your body's natural rhythm. This allows your digestive system to complete its work and shut down the production line before the maintenance shift is scheduled to begin. Your body can then focus entirely on healing and restoration. Now, for those who want to supercharge this effect, here is a synergy tip. An hour before bed, after your 3-hour fast has begun, have a cup of chamomile tea or a quality magnesium supplement. This doesn't just prevent the insulin spike from late-night food. It actively calms your sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight response. It's like sending a clear signal to the factory manager that all is quiet, and the repair work can begin ahead of schedule. If you ignore this, the consequence is unavoidable. Your heart and arteries are put under daytime levels of pressure for an extra 8 hours every single night. It is the fastest way to develop rigid arteries and hypertension that seems resistant to medication, because the root cause isn't being addressed. But even if you go to bed on an empty stomach, the very air you're breathing could be keeping your heart in a state of alarm. Which brings me to number 4. That promise to go to bed on an empty stomach is crucial, but it's only half the battle. This brings us to the 4th item on our list, the hidden accelerator. This is a factor so subtle, so consistently overlooked, that most physicians never have the time to bring it up in a 15-minute appointment. It's the temperature of your bedroom. If your thermostat is set above 20 degrees Celsius or 68 Fahrenheit, you are unknowingly forcing your heart into a state of low-grade, constant stress all night long. To initiate deep restorative sleep, your body must lower its core temperature. It's a primal biological trigger. A warm room actively works against this process, keeping your heart rate elevated and preventing the natural decline of the stress hormone, cortisol. Your heart is like the engine of a car. Sleeping in a warm room is like keeping your foot lightly on the accelerator while the car is parked in the garage. It never fully cools down, and the wear and tear accumulates. This isn't a small effect. Over the course of a single night, a cool environment can allow your heart to beat up to 10,000 fewer times. Now multiply that by weeks, months, and years. You begin to understand the source of that profound chronic fatigue that so many people mistake for normal aging. You are robbing your heart of its most important rest period, forcing the engine to run hot, night after night. The metaphor of the constantly revving engine is a perfect illustration of the problem. Even at a stoplight, a responsible driver puts their foot on the brake and allows the engine to idle. Yet, by sleeping in a warm room, you are preventing your heart from ever truly reaching that state of idle. It's a low-level strain, but it's the consistency of that strain, 8 hours a day, every day, that chips away at your cardiovascular resilience. The science on this is incredibly clear. The National Sleep Foundation states that the ideal temperature range for sleep is between 15 and 19 degrees Celsius, or 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. This isn't just for comfort, it is a medical necessity for optimal heart recovery. This simple adjustment costs nothing and provides a powerful signal to your body that it is time to begin the nightly repair sequence. To enhance this effect, here is another powerful synergy tip. Take a warm, not hot, bath or shower about 90 minutes before you plan to sleep. This may seem counterintuitive, but it works. The warm water draws blood to the surface of your skin. When you get out, the rapid evaporation of water from your skin causes a drop in your core body temperature, powerfully signaling to your brain that it is time for sleep and initiating the drop in heart rate. I think of my patient Robert, a 68-year-old executive from Chicago who was doing everything right. His blood pressure was managed with medication, but he suffered from a bone-deep exhaustion he simply blamed on his age. The culprit wasn't his diet or his stress, but a thermostat stubbornly set to 74 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius, every night. After we adjusted it down to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius, he told me a month later that it felt like he had awakened from a decade-long fog. But cooling your room is useless if you're ingesting a chemical that actively sabotages your sleep architecture. What good is a cool, quiet garage if the driver is inside, revving the engine all night? This brings us to the most socially accepted poison of all, the false relaxer, at number 3. We've addressed the external environment, but now we must confront the internal one. The cliffhanger I left you with was about a chemical that sabotages your sleep, no matter how perfect your surroundings are. This brings us to number 3, the false relax. I am talking about the glass of wine, the beer, or the cocktail you have in the evening to wind down. It is perhaps the most destructive habit for your nightly cardiovascular health because it feels like a solution, but it is a master of deception. Alcohol is like an incompetent office manager who at the end of the day noisily shuts off the main lights and locks the front door, giving the appearance of a building that is closed for business. But inside, every computer has been left on. The servers are overheating, and the fire alarms have been secretly disabled. From the outside, it looks calm. On the inside, it's chaos waiting for a catastrophe. While alcohol may make you feel drowsy and help you fall asleep faster, this is sedation, not natural sleep. Once the sedative effect begins to wear off a few hours later, your body goes into a rebound state. It violently fragments your sleep architecture, suppressing the deep, restorative REM sleep your brain and body need, and causing dozens of micro-despertaires throughout the night that you won't even remember. Each one of these tiny awakenings sends a jolt to your system. Your brain perceives this disruption as a threat and releases a small burst of adrenaline and cortisol to deal with it. According to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, this process, repeated dozens of times, night after night, dramatically increases the risk of developing nocturnal atrial fibrillation, an irregular, rapid heartbeat that can lead to blood clots, stroke, and heart failure. You are not just getting poor quality sleep, you are actively training your heart to beat incorrectly. Imagine whipping a racehorse every few minutes all night long. Eventually, it will become jumpy, erratic, and unpredictable. That is what you are doing to your sympathetic nervous system when you drink before bed. You are conditioning your heart for chaos. This is the ultimate betrayal for so many people who tell me they drink to manage their stress. That very act of self-soothing is what prevents their body from ever truly recovering from the day's pressures. The practical application here is not about willpower, it's about ritual replacement. If you enjoy the act of having a special drink, keep the ritual, but change the ingredient. Get a beautiful glass, fill it with sparkling water, and add a squeeze of lime or a few frozen berries. You satisfy the psychological habit without poisoning the biological process. Think of your body as having two different engines it can run on at night. Alcohol gives you the noisy, inefficient, polluting diesel engine of sedation. It gets you to an unconscious state, but it rattles the entire chassis and leaves a toxic residue. Natural sleep, on the other hand, is a silent, powerful, clean-burning electric engine. It recharges your entire system with no harmful byproducts. Every single night you get to choose which engine you turn on. Look, what we've covered so far can already cut your nightly risk in half. And if you're getting value from this, do me a quick favor and hit the like button. It tells the algorithm that this is vital information that more people need to see. The next two items, especially number 1, are the most critical. You don't want to miss them. But all of this is minor compared to the damage from the silent epidemic that is happening in bedrooms everywhere, a phenomenon your partner probably complains about. Number 2 is where we confront the sound of your body crying for help. That sound your partner complains about, the one you dismiss as just snoring, is the subject of our second most critical item. Number 2 is the silent suffocator. I need to be perfectly clear about this, because you have likely been given the wrong information your entire life. Snoring is not a funny or harmless noise. It is the sound of your body fighting to breathe. It is a distress signal from a partially obstructed airway, and ignoring it is one of the most dangerous gambles you can take with your health. Your belief that snoring is benign is a profound misunderstanding. Every snore, every gasp, is a sign that your airway is collapsing. This forces your heart to work against a suffocating pressure. Think of your heart during a night of untreated snoring or apnea as the engine of a car that is being violently started and stalled, hundreds of times, every single night. Each of these events is a shock to the system, a moment of internal panic that your conscious mind is completely unaware of. Each time your breathing stops, your blood oxygen levels plummet. Your brain, sensing an imminent life-threatening emergency, triggers a panic response. It floods your body with a tidal wave of stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, to jolt you just awake enough to gasp for air. You don't just have a bad night's sleep. You spend 8 hours surviving hundreds of mini suffocation events. This is not rest. This is nightly combat. The consequences are staggering. Research from the renowned Mayo Clinic has shown that severe, untreated sleep apnea is associated with a 140% increased risk of sudden cardiac death during sleep. You are not just tired the next day. Your heart muscle is being weakened, your arteries are being damaged, and your electrical system is being trained for arrhythmia by these repeated adrenaline surges. You are literally surviving a battle for your life, night after night. This is why the story of Eleanor, a 74-year-old patient of mine, is so important. She came to me terrified, not of dying, but of becoming a burden to her children. Her doctor had just told her she needed a CPAP machine for her severe apnea and uncontrolled blood pressure. Before going down that road, we implemented the protocols from this video. We fixed her meal timing and, most importantly, used pillows to ensure she stayed on her side throughout the night. 3 months later, her nightly blood pressure chart looked like that of a healthy 40-year-old. She told me, with tears in her eyes, she felt reborn. The first aid measure we used with Eleanor is something you can try tonight. The synergy tip for the silent suffocator is to use gravity as your ally. By purposefully sleeping on your side, propped up with a body pillow if needed, you help prevent your tongue and soft palate from collapsing back into your airway. This simple postural change can dramatically reduce the number of suffocating events you experience, giving your heart a desperately needed break. Eleanor's story shows how powerful this knowledge can be. You might think that solving this single issue is the key to protecting your heart at night, and we could almost end the video right here. But doing so would be dangerously incomplete. However, even mild sleep apnea becomes exponentially more dangerous when combined with the number one mistake: a sleeping position so common, yet so deadly, that I beg every patient I see to avoid it at all costs. I told you at the very beginning of this video that number one was already in your kitchen, and that it was a specific position you adopt every night without a second thought. We have scaled this mountain of knowledge together, from meal timing to room temperature, from alcohol to apnea. Now we have arrived at the summit. The single most dangerous mistake is the one that combines the dangers of all the others into a perfect storm. The number one deadliest nightly habit is what I call the deadly position. It is a combination of going to sleep with your stomach still digesting food and lying flat on your back. This specific pairing turns your body into a pressure cooker for a catastrophic cardiac event. For millions of people, this isn't an occasional mistake. It is their default way of sleeping, and they have no idea that this comfortable position could be the very thing that kills them. Let's break down why this is so lethal. First, there is the mechanical pressure. When you lie on your back with a full stomach, the weight of your digestive organs pushes up against your diaphragm. This physically restricts your lungs' ability to expand, which makes any level of snoring or sleep apnea from item number 2 exponentially worse. You are mechanically suffocating yourself, forcing your heart to fight even harder for every single breath. Second, and this is the hidden trigger, is the chemical warfare. Lying on your back is the worst possible position for acid reflux, as stomach acid silently flows back into your esophagus. It doesn't just cause heartburn, it comes into contact with and irritates the vagus nerve. This critical nerve is one of the main highways of communication between your gut and your heart. Overwhelming research from both gastroenterology and cardiology shows that this vagal irritation can directly trigger severe cardiac arrhythmias. This brings us to the most important metaphor of this entire video. Your torso is like a delicate plumbing system. Lying on your back with a full stomach is like bending a fire hose in the middle while turning up the water pressure. The pressure builds, and it will seek the weakest point to burst. In this case, it is not the hose that bursts, but the very rhythm of your heart. This dual attack, the mechanical pressure worsening apnea and the chemical irritation triggering arrhythmia, creates a scenario where a fatal event can occur out of nowhere. The true tragedy is that this happens while you are completely unconscious. If a heart attack is triggered this way, the official cause of death will simply be listed as cardiac arrest. No one will ever know that the root cause was the fatal combination of a late dinner and a sleeping position. But you know now. This brings us to our final and most critical synergy protocol. To completely disarm this trap, implement the 3-hour fasting window from item number 5 and add a simple 10-minute walk after your last meal. This gentle walk drastically accelerates gastric emptying. It ensures that even if you roll onto your back in the middle of the night, the pressure chamber in your stomach is empty. The fire hose has no water pressure. By combining these simple acts, a cool room, no alcohol, an early dinner with a short walk, and a commitment to sleeping on your side, you are not just tweaking your habits, you are building a comprehensive, multi-layered defense system for your heart. You are taking back control from the chaos and giving your body the safety it needs to heal. With this final piece of the puzzle, the picture is now complete. The promise has been fulfilled. You no longer have to see the night as a source of random, unpredictable fear. You now have the knowledge to see it and shape it into your greatest source of healing and rejuvenation. So we have learned to respect the delicate mechanics of our own bodies as we sleep, to ensure our breath flows freely and unobstructed. We've learned to avoid the false relaxers that create chaos while pretending to bring peace, to provide our bodies with a cool and calm environment, and above all, to grant our systems the sacred, uninterrupted rest they need to rebuild. These are not just tips, they are principles of nightly restoration. Your body is not your enemy. It has never been the enemy. It has always been fighting for you, struggling to heal against the obstacles we unknowingly place in its path. We have simply been giving it the wrong tools, sending it the wrong signals, and asking it to perform miracles under impossible conditions. Tonight that changes. You now have the right tools. For too long you may have viewed your body as a machine that is slowly breaking down. I want you to see it instead as a dormant garden. The potential for life, for vibrant health has always been there, just under the surface. You are not a mechanic waiting for the next breakdown. You are the gardener, and you now have the knowledge to pull the weeds, to water the soil, and to let the garden flourish. The information I have shared is powerful, but it is only potential. The real transformation happens when you turn knowledge into action. You are not a passive patient, defined by a diagnosis or a prescription. You are the architect of your own health. You hold the blueprint. The choice to build a stronger, more resilient future is yours, and it begins tonight. Now that we have secured your nights against these hidden dangers, our work is not done. In a future video, we will explore the 3 health foods you are likely eating for breakfast that are silently raising your blood pressure before your day even begins. It's another piece of the puzzle to reclaiming your vitality. Which of these 5 habits are you going to try first? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one.